The garage door opener chose that exact moment to die. I've been meaning to fix the damn thing for weeks, but retirement's funny like that. Suddenly you've got all the time in the world and none of the urgency. The screech of metal gears jamming must have masked my footsteps, because when I rounded the corner into the kitchen, there she was, Alexis, my wife of 23 years, clutching her phone like a smuggled diamond. Just finalize the reservation under both names, she hissed, back turned. Her thumb rubbed raw circles over that emerald cocktail ring she only wears when she's lying. I know because I counted 3 rotations during the breast cancer charity scam, 5 when she told me her mother died. Spoiler, the old bat's still breathing. Somewhere in Boca, probably poisoning another HOA board. She spun around, face smooth as fresh oil. Larry, I thought you were at the range. Her voice had that syrupy pitch she uses on telemarketers. I watched her thumb slide across the phone's edge, left, then right. Power button. Always power button when she's hiding something. Change of plans, I said, nodding at the suitcase gaping on the table like a drunk's mouth. Lace spilled over the edges, black, the kind she stopped wearing after the hysterectomy. Packing light for your, what was it? Solo hiking retreat. Her laugh came out tinny. You know me, trying new things. She zipped the bag with violent finality. That's when I saw it, the necklace coiled beneath her scarf like a silver snake. Opal centerpiece I'd never laid eyes on in 2 decades. Looked antique. Looked expensive. Looked like the sort of thing a mechanic's pension couldn't cover. Cute bauble, I said, reaching for it. Her hand flew up to block me, nails grazing my wrist. Left side. Where the watch hides the scar from '08 when the Ford F-250 axle slipped. Just junk from Goodwill, she said too fast. You know I love vintage trash. I let my palm drop. Smiled the way you do at a bad car inspection. Funny. Thought I smelled fresh motor oil on it. Her blink lasted a half-second too long. Motor oil's my scent, not hers. The lie curdled between us. She recovered quick, fluttering hands rearranging scarves. You're imagining things. Seriously, Larry, this paranoia? It's your PTSD from the shop. All those years breathing fumes. I waited until she'd gone to check her hiking boots, read, flush whatever text she'd been sending, before palming her phone. Lock screen, our anniversary date. Cute trick. The passcode took 3 tries. Our wedding year. Nope. Her birth year. Denied. Then 1985, the year her father actually left. Not the bullshit, heart attack story she feeds at parties. Home screen blinked open, pristine. Messages? Empty. Call log? 1 incoming from dental office. Maps? Recent search for Grand Canyon trails. 2 clean. Surgical. Like wiping a dipstick with your best shirt. I'm no tech wizard, but 30 years fixing Chevys teaches you about residual traces, the grease under fingernails of the digital world. Scrolled to her deleted photos. 37 images trashed this morning. All that remained was the shadow of a screenshot fragment of a confirmation email. 2 letters visible at the edge. RT. Marriott. The toilet flushed upstairs. I slid the phone back precisely 2.5 inches left of her coffee mug. Her obsessive-compulsive placement, not mine. When she returned, I was whistling, scrubbing engine grease from my hands with the lemon soap she hates. You're in a mood, she said, eyeing me like a misfiring carburetor. Just thinking, I said, flicking water at the window. Through the droplets, the neighbor's maple tree blurred into something monstrous. How funny it'd be if you actually hiked. You know, considering your knee. She froze. The knee she'd supposedly blown out last winter. The knee that mysteriously healed when I suggested canceling her yoga membership. Low-impact trails, she snapped, slamming cabinets. God, why's everything an interrogation with you? I dried my hands slow, watching her reflection warp in the toaster. Just concerned. You've been different lately. Like you're running from something. Her shoulders stiffened. For a heartbeat, I saw it. The girl who showed up at my shop in '99 with a busted alternator and a sob story about her abusive ex, same trimmer in her lower lip. Same too quick recovery. Project much? She barked a laugh, all molars. I'm the one trapped here with Captain Suspicion. Maybe this trip's just me needing space from your... The phone buzzed. Dental office, calling again. She swiped decline so hard her nail cracked. Dr. Phillips' office, she said before I could ask. Reminding me about the crown. Funny, I murmured, heading for the garage. Thought you switched to doctorly after the, what was it? Inappropriate billing practices? The silence tasted like transmission fluid, thick, toxic, familiar. I didn't wait for her lie. The garage door opener still wasn't fixed, but hey, some mysteries aren't worth solving yet. The next morning, I suggested pancakes. Maple syrup thick as blood, bacon burned at the edges, the kind of breakfast that used to make her gag before her gluten sensitivity conveniently vanished last tax season. She had the spread like I'd served rat poison garnished with divorce papers. Thought we could talk about your mom, I said. Pouring coffee into her I read Heart Sedona mug, a gift from her girls' trip last spring where she'd supposedly lost her fitted. You two haven't spoken since the, what was it? Incident with the heirloom pearls. Alexis stabbed a blueberry, which you conveniently lost during the move. Funny. I leaned back, watching grease congeal on her plate. How those pearls turned up in your eBay listings 3 months later. She didn't flinch. Professional liars never do. We're not discussing Mom. Not when I'm leaving tomorrow. I let the silence stretch like a timing belt nearing its limit. Waited for her to fill it. They always do. Unless. She dabbed non-existent syrup from her lips. You want to drive me there? Mint fences before my trip. Bingo. Her smile faltered when I slammed the truck keys on the table. Already gassed up the Silverado. Figured we'd take the scenic route. Stop by that orchard you loved so much last fall. The orchard where she'd claimed to sprain her ankle, conveniently missing our anniversary dinner. Where I'd later found a receipt for 2 wine glasses at the bed and breakfast 3 miles down the road. Her phone buzzed, 3 rapid vibrations against the oak. I watched her thumb twitch toward it like a dowser's rod. Scenic sounds great, she said, words dragging like a bad transmission. The truck smelled of WD-40 and betrayal. She'd borrowed it last month for a yoga retreat, returning it with 173 extra miles and a new air freshener, Pine, Derek's favorite scent according to his LinkedIn interests section. I'd scrubbed the cab raw, but the stench lingered like a phantom transmission leak. She spent the first hour texting, thumbs flying. I timed the gaps between sent messages, 12 seconds, 8 seconds, 43 seconds. Amateur. Real cheaters develop cadences, patterns. I'd know. I'd rebuild enough family sedans reeking of perfume and panic after their owners' quick oil changes. Clara's being dramatic again, she said suddenly, tilting the screen toward me. A text thread filled with eggplant emojis and LOL-s. Thinks she's getting audited. Shame. I adjusted the rear view to catch her hands. Maybe she shouldn't have borrowed your identity for those Botox invoices. Her knuckles whitened. That was a misunderstanding. Like your allergic reaction to shellfish at Derek's beach house? The truck swerved as she jerked. Who? Your mom's plumber. You mentioned him last Christmas. I kept my eyes on the road, heart revving like a nitro-injected V8. When you forgot your insulin at his place. A beat too long. Right. Derek. Forgot his name. The GPS announced our exit. Her phone buzzed again, Marriott confirmation email. I'd bet my torque wrench. She silenced it, knuckles brushing the vintage necklace now tucked under her blouse. Funny thing, I said as we passed the orchard's rotting sign. Found an earring under the seat last week. Silver rose. Yours. Her breath hitched. Must be Clarice. Strange. I downshifted for the gravel road. Considering she's never ridden in this truck. The cab filled with the stench of burning clutch and Chanel No. 5. She cranked her window down, unleashing a whirlwind of dead leaves. Can we not do this? I'm trying to reconnect with Mom, for Christ's sake. Of course. I smiled at the windshield. Wouldn't want to ruin your, what was it? Solo hike? The truck bed rattled with every pothole. I'd loaded it last night with Mom's old furniture, actually a hollowed-out dresser containing a voice-activated recorder and a GPS tracker. Let her think she was smuggling secrets while I planted my own. She broke first. If you must know, I might meet someone at the canyon. An old friend. Bingo. Friend, I repeated, steering into the word like a skid. From where? Your book club. The one that mysteriously read Lolita 3 years running. High school. Her voice went gauzy. Someone who understands me. The speedometer crept to 65. I let it. Funny. Your yearbook only lists 12 graduates. All women. A semi roared past, sucking the oxygen from the cab. Her hand flew to the necklace. You went through my yearbook? Wanted to see who I'd married. I tapped the brakes as we hit Main Street. Imagine my surprise finding 6 pages razored out. Must have been one hell of a reunion committee. Her mom's house loomed ahead, a Victorian corpse with peeling yellow paint. Alexis lunged for the door handle before I'd fully stopped. Wait. I killed the engine, nodding at her purse. You forgot Mom's care package. The Tupperware contained no banana bread. Just a burner phone preloaded with screenshots of Derek's property holdings and a tracker synced to my tablet. Let her think she's smuggling contraband while I reroute the entire damn convoy. She clutched the container like a lifeline. You're thoughtful today. New leaf. I popped the hood, a mechanic's version of a poker tell. Gonna check the alternator. Wouldn't want you stranded later. As she marched toward the house, I palmed the OBD2 scanner from my toolbox. Plugged it into the port beneath her seat. Let's see what stories her scenic drives had really been telling. The diagnostic screen blinked awake. Average speed, 72 miles per hour. Maximum RPM, 4,100. Seatbelt unbuckled events, 17. I snapped a photo, the numbers searing into my retinas. She hadn't just cheated. She'd raced toward it. The porch light flickered on. Through the dirty window, I saw Alexis's mom thrust a dusty box into her arms. Watch my wife's face drain of blood as a photo slid free, Polaroid edges curling like claws. I lit a cigarette I hadn't smoked in years. Let the nicotine mix with the taste of diesel and impending ruin. The game wasn't rigged anymore. I brought my own cards. The screen door screamed like a banshee when Alexis's mom shoved the box at her. You're garbage. The old woman spat, cigarette ash snowing onto the cardboard. Been saving it for your inevitable midlife crisis. Alexis fumbled the container, sending a cascade of Polaroids across the porch. I crouched to help, my knees popping a symphony of middle-aged betrayal. That's when I saw them. Alexis at 19, all big hair and bigger lies, squeezed into a vinyl diner booth with a guy who looked like Tom Selleck's evil twin. Date scrawled in red Sharpie, June 85. The same year she'd claimed to be studying abroad in Paris. Cute, I said, holding up a shot of not Tom feeding her a milkshake. His pinky bore a college ring. University of Arizona, 84. Engineering. This year what's the term? Food poisoning phase? Because this diner's health rating. I squinted at the grease-stained menu behind them. The Silver Spur. Let me guess, C rating at best. Alexis snatched the photo. God, you're such a snoop. Her thumb covered not Tom's face, but not the necklace around her younger neck. Same damn opal pendant currently burning a hole in her luggage. The box coughed up more secrets. Playbills from Les Mis reads, her allergic to theater phase, a dried corsage, pollen allergy my ass. And finally, the piece de resistance, a yellowed envelope labeled for our future in swooping cursive. It hit the warped floorboards with the thud of a coffin lid. Alexis's mom cackled. Forgot about that, didn't ya? Your little investment scheme. I snagged the envelope before Alexis could stomp it into kindling. Inside, a receipt for a $15,000 down payment on a Tucson condo, dated March 85. Purchaser, Derek M. Hollis. Co-signer, Alexis R. Carter. The engine of my suspicions roared to life. Derek, huh? I fanned the receipt like a poker hand. Funny. Same name as Mom's plumber. Same signature as the guy who bought this. I yanked the necklace chain, snapping the clasp. The opal glinted, its underside etched with microscopic initials. DMH plus ARC. Alexis lunged. Give that back. Relax. I dangled it over the porch rail. Just admiring the craftsmanship. Must have cost what? 2 months' mechanic's salary? Free. Her mom blew a smoke ring at the chaos. Told you not to marry him, Lexi. Mechanics notice everything. The Polaroids trembled in Alexis's grip. I watched her mentally rewrite history, the same way she'd edited our wedding album after losing the photos with her bridesmaid's hand on my thigh. It's not, she swallowed. We were kids. He died right after these were taken. Car crash, her mom stage whispered. Terrible thing. Closed casket. I pulled up Derek's LinkedIn on my phone. Current development. Grand Canyon luxury cabins. Profile pic showed him smirking in a hard hat. That same UA-84 ring glinting. Closed casket, open wallet. I zoomed in on his neck. No necklace. Guess ghosts don't need jewelry. Alexis's face went sheet metal gray. She reached for the receipt, but I pocketed it with the smile of a man finding the last wrench in a stripped engine. Funny story, I said, kicking the box. Found similar receipts in our attic. For a hiking gear investment Clara helped you with. I leaned in, WD-40 and vengeance on my breath. But hey, maybe Derek's condo appreciated. Let's check Zillow during your solo hike. The screen door slammed as her mom retreated, cackling. Alexis stood frozen, at 85 Phantom in 2023 athleisure wear. I left her there, stranding the box like the lie it was. The receipt burned against my thigh. Not proof, but a blueprint. Rebuilding engines teaches you this. Every betrayal leaves tool marks. You just need the right light to see them. The screen door hadn't even stopped rattling when I cornered Alexis's mom in her nicotine-stained kitchen. She stood there brewing Folgers like the Oracle of Delphi in a moth-eaten bathrobe, cigarette dangling from lips that had sneered through 3 divorces. "How's the plumbing?" I asked, slapping Derek's LinkedIn printout next to her Mr. Coffee. Derek's looking fit for a corpse. She didn't blink, just stirred creamer into her mug, the spoon clinking like a jailer's keys. Should have stayed dead. Lexi cried for weeks when he dumped her. The lie landed like a wrench on concrete. I leaned against her avocado-green fridge, the hum of its dying motor syncing with my pulse. Funny epitaph for a car crash victim. Here lies Derek, heartbreaker, not brake failure. Her laugh sprayed coffee droplets across the Derek dossier. You think you're the first man she's played? That condo receipt. She jabbed her cigarette at the 85 photo still clutched in my hand. Wedding deposit. They were supposed to elope. The fridge chose that moment to shudder, its freezer spitting ice chips onto the linoleum. I stared at the frost-dusted Polaroid. Alexis in a white sundress, Derek's ring on her finger, dated 2 weeks before our first date. The math clicked. 23 years of marriage, 24 years of lies. She called it off. The mom continued, enjoying the scalpel twist. Said he changed. Air quotes stain the air. Truth? He caught her screwing his cousin. I flicked an ice chip off the photo. And the crash. Her specialty. She tapped her temple. Convenient fiction. Like her miscarriage sophomore year. The neon vacancy sign from the motel across the street blinked through grimy curtains, painting her face in alternating red and nausea green. I counted 3 flashes before she slipped. Saw Derek last year, she muttered, crushing her cigarette into a Las Vegas ashtray I'd gifted them in '07. Picking up Lexi for something. The room tilted. I braced against the fridge, its vibration now a growl. Here. Phoenix Airport. She froze, realizing her mistake. I yanked open her junk drawer, ketchup packets, expired coupons, and bingo. A parking stub dated 9 months back. Sky Harbor Airport long-term lot. Level 3, space G12. You're as bad as her, she hissed, but I was already cross-referencing dates. The weekend Alexis had visited Clara in Tempe. The same weekend Derek's company broke ground on their Grand Canyon resort. The neon sign buzzed louder. I palmed the parking stub, its edges sharp as betrayal. Let me guess, white SUV. Arizona plates? Smelled like pine air freshener and regret. Her silence cost her another cigarette. I watched her fumble the pack, Marlboro Reds spilling across countertops sticky with decades of bad decisions. You'll ruin everything, she warned. I snapped a photo of the parking stub next to her trembling hands. Funny, I was just thinking the same about you. The Silverado roared to life outside. Through the grease-smeared window, I saw Alexis still frozen on the porch, the box of lies at her feet like Pandora's dowry. Her mom lit a fresh cigarette off the stove's gas burner. She'll destroy you. I pocketed the evidence, Derek's initials burning through denim. Wrench in the gears, Margie. Wrench in the gears. The motel sign flickered as I left, vacancy going dark, leaving only ANCY blinking like a distress signal. I'd answer it, just not the way they expected. The county assessor's website loaded like it was powered by spite. I'd spent 3 hours cross-referencing property records with Alexis's spa weekends, my garage computer humming like a meth lab. Derek Hollis wasn't just alive, he'd metastasized. LLCs spread across Arizona like oil stains. Hollis Hospitality Group, Canyon View Developments, Sedona Secrets LLC. The smoking gun came from a 2018 zoning meeting video. There he was, thick silver hair, that same UA ring, arguing about sewer lines for a luxury glamping resort 10 miles from the Grand Canyon South Rim. The kicker? His necklace. Not just similar to Alexis's, identical. The opal caught the fluorescent light as he leaned forward, revealing the telltale chip on its lower left facet. I'd memorized that flaw when I'd swabbed it for DNA. Well, hello, Derek, I muttered, freezing the frame. The timestamp matched Alexis's girls' trip to Sedona. The same trip where she'd accidentally texted me a photo of red rocks, with a Marriott keycard reflecting in her sunglasses. I cross-referenced construction permits. Groundbreaking for Derek's resort. March 15th. Alexis's sudden interest in investing our savings. March 12th. Her $25,000 withdrawal, roof repairs, still leaked through our joint account like brake fluid. The PI's dossier arrived at 2 a.m. Page 7 stopped me cold. Derek at a charity gala 6 months back. Arm around a woman in black. Not Alexis, some socialite. But there, nestled in his chest hair, the necklace. Zooming in revealed fresh scratches near the clasp. Recent damage. Recent wear. I drove to the 24-hour library, the Silverado's headlights carving through fog thicker than Derek's hair gel. Microfilm archives confirmed what I already knew. No fatal crashes in June '85. Just a Tucson Daily article. Local couple wins dance marathon. Grainy photos showed Derek dip Alexis, her laugh frozen mid-arc, the necklace swinging like a pendulum. Back home, I spread the evidence across my workbench, tools of destruction replaced by receipts, photos, timelines. The garage clock ticked like a detonator. Alexis's suitcase waited by the door, the necklace's outline visible through red lace. I considered swapping it with a replica, but no, better to let her bring their love token straight to Derek's neck. Let him feel the weight of what was coming. At dawn, I accidentally spilled coffee on her hiking boots. While she cursed in the shower, I implanted a tile tracker in the sole, next to the GPS chip already sewn into her luggage lining. Her phone buzzed with a text. Clara, all set for tomorrow? I replied using her voice to text. Can't wait, face-blowing kiss. The final piece fell into place when I checked Derek's resort website. Grand opening special, complimentary champagne for couples. Promotion started tomorrow. Reservation number pulled from Alexis's deleted emails matched the one on Derek's desk calendar. I opened our safe, the one Alexis thought held our emergency cash. Beneath the decoy stack of ones, I slid the real weapons, notarized copies of the condo receipt, the LLC filings, the necklace's gemology report. Her shower cut off. I grabbed a carburetor part to maintain cover. Larry. She emerged in a towel, skin flushed from scalding water, her post-affair ritual. Why are you up so early? Just admiring Derek's work. I tilted the laptop toward her. The resort's homepage glowed, couples massage package front and center. Guy's got vision. That infinity pool. I zoomed in on the construction photo. Reminds me of our honeymoon hotel. She paled. We stayed at a Motel 6. Right. I closed the laptop with a snap. Guess some people upgrade. The necklace glinted as she dressed. I waited until she'd packed it to make my move. Almost forgot. I tossed her a Ziploc bag. For your hike. She frowned at the contents, a dozen silica gel packets. Keep your gear dry, I said, watching her shove them in blindly. She didn't notice the 12th packet's altered weight. Didn't feel the micro recorder inside, already transmitting to my cloud. Let them talk. Let them confess. Let them hang themselves with the rope I just handed them. The fake receipts smelled like raspberry vodka and desperation. I found them stuffed in Alexis's yoga mat case, the one she'd accidentally left in my truck after her therapy session. Clara's loopy signature adorned each one, claiming $42,000 in alternative investments spanning CBD oil startups and a vegan leather company called Ecocide. Problem was, Ecocide's listed address turned out to be a Phoenix strip club parking lot when I Googled it at 3 a.m. The CBD company? Dissolved in 2019, right around the time Clara got popped for selling Arbonne products as medical-grade collagen. I confronted her at Sunday brunch, her idea, probably to butter me up with mimosas. She showed up wearing sunglasses big enough to hide a felony, nursing a Bloody Mary that reeked of top-shelf remorse. Lawrence. Her hug lingered half a beat too long. Chanel number 5 battling the stench of last night's bad decisions. You look rested. I slid the receipts across the sticky table. Explain the math, Clara. Ecoside's 2022 returns look creative. Her laugh could have cut glass. Alternative assets aren't your thing, Han. All about liquidity ratios and the fact their factory is a Taco Bell dumpster? I tapped the address. Or that your investment portal website was registered 3 days before Alexis's first withdrawal? Her merry olive garnish trembled. You hacked my site? Check the copyright date. I leaned back as the waitress refilled my coffee black, like my mood. Footer says 2023, but your SSL certificate expired in 2018. Basic stuff. She drained her drink, ice clattering like loose change. Alexis wanted diversification. Sue me for helping. Funny you mention lawsuits. I unfolded the crumpled Ecoside LLC filing from my jacket. Registered agent, Clara D. Myers. Same name as your 2017 bankruptcy. Her sprayed and paled. Coincidence? Like how your client testimonials quote people named after Golden Girls characters? I flipped to a highlighted review. Dorothy's Bornak says Ecoside cured my gout. Real subtle. The diner's neon sign buzzed overhead, casting her face in migraine pink. I waited for the tells, twisted napkin, I tick, nervous reach for phone. Instead, she went statue still. What do you want? I pushed the check toward her. The truth. And you're buying. She fumbled with her wallet, a faded photo slipping out, her and Alexis at 15, faces pressed together outside a county fair funhouse. The mirror behind them warped their smiles into snarls. We needed cash, she muttered. Derek's project required. My coffee cup froze mid-sip. Required what? Kickbacks? Laundering. Her mascara started its inevitable migration south. He promised triple returns. Said if we moved funds through creative channels. The waitress chose that moment to drop off more creamers. Clara shredded 6 sugar packets before continuing. Alexis handled the withdrawals. I made paper trails. She gestured at the receipts. Meant to pay it back before. Before I noticed our savings could have funded a small coup, I tossed a printed spreadsheet between the syrup bottles. $217K over 18 months. Even Pablo Escobar spaced out his withdrawals. Her phone buzzed, Alexis's custom tone, marimba remix of Highway to Hell. Clara silenced it like defusing a bomb. I palmed her keys while she was distracted, slipping a voice-activated tracker into her Gucci knockoff. Let them text. Let them scheme. Every digital breadcrumb just greased the gears. Here's the new math. I stood, tossing cash for the tip. You've got 48 hours to wire back every cent. Or I introduce the IRS to your creative channels. She grabbed my wrist, nails biting. You don't know what Derek's capable of. I pried her fingers loose, one manicured claw at a time. Betty says the same about mechanics. The diner door jingled behind me. Through the fly-specked window, I watched Clara fumble with a compact, not checking her makeup, but snapping photos of my spreadsheet. Let her warn Alexis. Let them panic. Fraudsters always forget. Paper burns, but spreadsheets live forever. The necklace glinted under the garage's flickering fluorescence like a dare. I waited until Alexis bent to zip her suitcase, another new one, lavender hardshell with TSA-approved bullshit locks. Perfect angle. That thing's gotta be worth more than my truck, I said, nodding at the opal as I tightened a vice grip around my rage. She didn't look up. eBay junk. Paid $20. Funny. I palmed a grease rag from the workbench, pre-soaked in isopropyl alcohol for exactly this moment. Saw a similar one on Antiques Roadshow. Appraised at 15 grand. Her laugh came out strangled. Since when do you watch PBS? Since the Smithsonian Channel aired How to Spot a Forger. I stepped closer, rag dangling like a mechanic's white flag. Let me clean it. You don't want Derek thinking you've got cheap taste. She froze mid-zipper. Who? The appraiser. German guy with a monocle. I swiped the rag across the opal surface, pressing hard enough to dislodge skin cells from the clasp. Episode 12. All about detecting fakes. Alexis jerked back, but I'd already pocketed the rag, DNA cocktail secured between chevron 10W, 30 stains. Her eyes darted to the garage door, calculating escape routes like a cornered raccoon. Change of plans, she blurted. heaving the suitcase upright. Clara's picking me up tonight. Early flight. I glanced at the wall clock I'd deliberately set 20 minutes fast. No? It's practically midnight. Red ice are cheaper. She yanked the suitcase toward the door, wheels screeching like a dying alternator. I let her make it 3 steps before striking. Need a ride? Clara's got it. Right. I pulled out my phone, flashing the Find My Friends notification I'd spoofed. Says she's at Derek's Scottsdale office. Odd detour for an airport run. The lie landed like a sledgehammer. Alexis's grip on the suitcase turned knuckle white. Your jealousy's pathetic. Jealous? I chuckled, cold and mechanical. Nah. Just noting how your hiking boots still have the Ross sticker. Size 6, but you're an 8. I kicked her luggage, sending it skidding into the tool chest. Who's the decoy for? Lex? Clara? Derek? Or the poor bastard driving your getaway car? She lunged for the door handle. I let her go, listening to the suitcase's uneven wheels thump down the driveway, a telltale wobble from the tile tracker embedded in the lining. Through the grimy window, I watched Clara's Hyundai arrive suspiciously fast, passenger window already down. Alexis hurled her luggage inside like a bank robber tossing a money bag. I texted my PI one word, activate. Then I uncapped the sample vial hidden behind my torque wrench collection. The grease rag slid in, Derek's sweat mingling with Alexis's perfume and my own fingerprints. Let the lab sort through that particular menage a trois. The Hyundai peeled out, taillights bleeding into the night. I toasted them with a bottle of 10W30, the oil slick on my lips tasting like victory and gasoline. Run all you want, I muttered, slamming the garage door. The vice grip left crescent indents in my palm. Good. Pain's just the universe reminding you which parts still work. The PI's invoice arrived disguised as a Jiffy Lube coupon, $8.50 for 48 hours of surveillance and one hell of a wake-up call. I spread his photos across the hood of a '78 Corvette I'd been restoring, the cabin reservation printout sticky with transmission fluid. Derek's booking confirmation listed Mr. and Mrs. Hollis arriving tomorrow night. Charming touch. But it was the cabin specs that caught my eye: baseboard heating, exposed cedar beams, and a custom-built safe behind a Remington replica painting. The kind of safe that requires a 6-digit code or a plasma cutter. The kind a real estate mogul uses to store things he doesn't want found. Clara showed up as I was cross-referencing the blueprints with Derek's known vices. She leaned against my workbench in a leopard print trench coat that screamed midlife crisis, holding a Tupperware of leftover lasagna that reeked of Ambien and regret. Still playing detective? She nodded at the schematics. Should have stuck to oil changes. I tapped the safe serial number, Yale 2100. Same model used in the condo they'd nearly bought in '85. Funny. Derek's still buying the same security. Like how you're still using the same pin. Her smile curdled. You're in over your head, Larry. Derek's got friends who make divorce lawyers look like Boy Scouts. I unscrewed the Corvette's carburetor, letting gasoline dribble onto the cabin photos. Friends who specialize in accidental deaths? Like his late business partner. I flipped to the PI's addendum, a flagged news clipping about a developer found in a half-built mansion, skull cracked open by a falling beam. Clara's lasagna lid popped from the pressure. You think this is a game? Nah. Games have rules. I palmed a torque wrench, adjusting it to 90 lb-ft, exact spec for lug nuts on Derek's reported Escalade. This is more like preventive maintenance. She grabbed my wrist, her acrylic nails cracking against the steel. Let it go, or I'll tell Alexis about your little PI. I laughed, the sound bouncing off engine blocks. Tell her. Then explain why you're listed as Derek's emergency contact in his ER records from New Year's. Her grip loosened. Funny time to get appendicitis. Funnier place, Cabo, right when Alexis lost her phone for a week. The garage lights buzzed like hornets. Clara retreated toward her Prius, heels catching on an oil slick. You're gonna get someone killed, she hissed. I revved the Corvette's engine, its roar drowning her exit. Through the exhaust fumes, I texted my guy at the scrapyard, 3 words that'd make Derek's world crumble. Initiate phase 2. The safe's blueprints fluttered in the diesel wind. I'd need thermite, not torches. Good thing I knew a guy who recycled railroad spikes. Clara's threat echoed, but I'd already memorized her tells, the chipped incisor from biting off lies, the way her left eye twitched when bluffing. Let them come. Turns out, Mechanics make excellent arsonists. We know exactly where to apply heat. The lab results arrived in a manila envelope that reeked of formaldehyde and karma. I sliced it open with a box cutter still crusted with Derek's Escalade's undercoating. There it was, page 3, section B. Epithelial cells on clasp match sample from Derek Hollish gym towel, 99.7% confidence. I framed it like a Degas painting. Alexis found me sleeping on the couch, the forged stage 4 pancreatic diagnosis clutched in my grease-stained hand. She shook me awake with the urgency of someone late for a spa appointment. Larry? Baby. Her tears hit the fake prognosis, smudging the 3 to 6 months to live I'd photoshopped using a vet's report for our dead schnauzer. Why didn't you tell me? I coughed like a 78 Ford spitting oil. Didn't want to ruin your trip. Her performance deserved a Razzie. Snot bubbled as she vowed to cancel everything, call specialists, fight this together. I timed her 47 seconds of Oscar-worthy wailing before her phone bust. Marriott confirmation. She silenced it, but not before I glimpsed Derek's text. Champagne's chilling. We'll beat this, she sniffed, stroking my hair with the tenderness of a repo man. Need to update the will, I rasped, watching her pupils dilate. Leave everything to you. The pause lasted 3 heartbeats. Exactly how long it takes to drain a fuel line. Don't talk like that, she whispered, already reaching for her suitcase. I hacked a wet cough into her Gucci scarf. Maybe postpone the trip? Last days together. She flinched like I'd suggested burning her passport. Of course, but her thumb swiped left on Derek's follow-up text. The deposit, it's non-refundable. I let the silence curdle. $6,000, she added, as if pricing my funeral. Guess I'm worth less than a timeshare week. Her laugh came out shrill. Don't be morbid. I'll just shorten it. 3 days tops. I nodded toward the kitchen where her luggage stood packed since dawn. Take the good cooler. Might need to. Another cough rattled my ribs. Preserve organs for donation. She kissed my forehead, lips lingering near the forged hospital bracelet. Rest. I'll make arrangements. The garage cameras caught her 23 minutes later, suitcase wheels carving tracks through spilled antifreeze. She didn't notice the second GPS tag I'd sewn into her hiking boots lining, or the real will I'd filed that morning, leaving her exactly what she deserved. A vintage necklace. And a lifetime of debt. The offshore account password was hidden in plain sight, tattooed under my wristwatch as a fake VIN number only a gearhead could decode. By the time I finished rebuilding, the John Deere tractor's carburetor, $287,000 had ghosted through 3 shell companies named after torque specs. I let Clara catch me reviewing the life insurance policy draft at Denny's, strategically staining it with pancake syrup. Her shadow fell across the death benefit clause before her ass hit the vinyl. Since when do you eat here? She fake laughed, stealing my coffee. Thought Greece was your main food group. I slid the papers under a J.C. Whitney catalog. Just updating beneficiaries. Terminal illnesses make you reflective. Her fork froze mid-sausage stab. How terminal? Depends. I coughed into a napkin I'd pre-splattered with brake fluid. Could be weeks. Could be months. Doctors say. She grabbed my wrist, her French tip digging into the fake VIN. We need to get you to Mexico. Alternative treatments. My cousin knows a clinic. I watched her morph into Florence Nightingale on meth, Googling herbal enemas, promising acupuncturists who totally aren't quacks, her pupils dilating at every mention of the $2 million payout. Appreciate the concern, I said, leaving the policy visible as I stumbled to the bathroom. Hidden above the urinal, my phone recorded her frantic photos of the documents. By the time I returned, she'd ordered me a kale smoothie. We'll beat this, she lied, squeezing my hand. Her phone buzzed, Alexis's selfie from Derek's hot tub lighting up the screen. I triggered the second act with a wheeze. Left something for you at the shop, in case things go south. Her Botox held, but I saw the cash register chime in her eyes. The something was a safe deposit box rigged with fingerprint powder and a nanny cam. Inside, a fake will leaving her 15% and a Ziploc of my chemo meds. Actually, rabbit turrets dyed neon blue. She texted Derek within minutes. Urgent. Accelerate timeline. I toasted her greed with a motor oil martini back home, watching the nanny cam feed. Let them think they're racing against the clock. Time's just a gear you can't re-grease once it's stripped. The photos arrived as I was elbow-deep in Derek's Escalade's transmission, poetic fucking justice. The PI had gone full Spielberg. Time-stamped shots of Alexis straddling Derek in a hot tub, her opal necklace dangling over a champagne bucket labeled Hollis Hospitality Group. But it was the fourth image that sealed it, Clara in the background, toasting them with a flute while scrolling my fake obituary draft on her phone. I printed them on glossy 8x10s using the kiosk at CVS, slipping one into every get-well-soon card Clara had been leaving on my doorstep like grenades. Let her find them between Hallmark platitudes and coupons for Insure. Her call came at 2:37 a.m. "You psychotic bastard," she hissed. "They'll kill you for this." I crunched a fistful of antacids, the camera feed from Derek's cabin playing silently on my garage TV. "Thought you'd appreciate the framing. That champagne shot really captures your good side." She materialized an hour later, reeking of airport vodka and panic. "Name your price," she demanded, slapping a duffel bag of cash, my cash, onto the workbench. "Take 50 grand and vanish." I let the bag spill open, banded stacks tumbling next to a jar of mercury switches. "Generous, considering you stole twice that from our joint account." Derek's got offshore accounts. Her pupils were pinpricks. "We'll funnel you monthly payments, untraceable." I triggered the projector, bathing her in a loop of incriminating shots. "Hard pass. But I'll counteroffer." I handed her a flash drive containing every shred of evidence, labeled Divorce Court Mixtape. "Turn state's witness, and maybe you only lose your real estate license instead of your colon in prison." She lunged for the vice grip. I let her get close before hitting play on the cabin's hidden mic audio. Clara's voice. "Once the insurance pays, we'll split it 60/40ths. Derek's chuckle. "Like we split Larry's pension?" Her scream rattled the lug nuts as I yanked the drive back. "Tick-tock, Clara. SEC opens in 6 hours." The duffel hit the floor with a thud meant to intimidate. She didn't notice the magnetic tracker I'd planted on her Lexus's undercarriage, same model I'd used to trace Alexis's yoga retreats. "You're dead," she spat, a 2016 vintage of her earlier threat. I toasted her with brake cleaner. "Tell Derek I'll bring the marshmallows for his empire's bonfire." As her tires screeched away, I texted the PI the coordinates from Clara's tracker. Let them think they're scrambling. The game wasn't checkers anymore. It was demolition derby. The confession burned hotter than a blown head gasket. I'd hidden the recorder inside a spark plug socket wrench. Clara's favorite kind of irony, given how often she'd called me a tool. She paced my garage like a caged hyena, high heels clicking against oil stains shaped like continents of betrayal. Sign. Or I released the thermal camera footage of you planting fentanyl in my glove box. I tossed the notarized document next to Derek's Escalade's disassembled transmission. Page 4's especially juicy. Your little side deal with the coroner's assistant. She lunged for the wrench. I triggered the lift controls, hoisting her Prius 6 feet overhead. "Careful. Lithium batteries don't like sudden impacts." Her confession spilled like ruptured coolant lines. How Alexis had researched insulin overdoses. How Derek knew a guy who could make my death look like a diabetic coma. How they'd planned to stage it during my last fishing trip, using a GPS spoof location near Lake Havasu. "You're out of your league," she sneered, signing with a Mont Blanc pen I'd filled with disappearing ink and a micro camera. "Derek's buried 6 guys who crossed him. You'll be a cautionary tale in the next board meeting." I activated the hydraulic press, slowly crushing Derek's alternator into a metallic pancake. "Tell me, does he still use the same safe combo?" 061985. June 85, when Alexis supposedly miscarried his kid. The blood left her face faster than oil through a cracked filter. Funny story. I pulled up security footage from the cabin's safe-cracking op, my scrapyard guy in a Derek mask, emptying bearer bonds into a duffel. Turns out thermite burns through Yale locks and alibis. Her phone buzzed with Derek's latest threat, a photo of my garage with the timestamp today. I'd taken it myself last week using his stolen camera. "Tick-tock, Clara." I handed her a forged deed to Derek's Cabo Villa. "Either walk out my ally, or crawl out his casualty." She initialed every page with shaking hands, the pen's camera capturing each stroke. As she fled, I texted Derek a single screenshot. Clara's confession synced to his cloud drive. Let them eat each other alive. The real game wasn't in the garage. It was in Derek's panic room safe, now housing a GPS tracker, 3 rattlesnakes, and a love letter to the IRS. Revenge isn't a spark. It's the whole damn ignition system. The cabin door exploded inward with the subtlety of a head-on collision. I disabled the security system using Derek's own birthday, June 19th, 85, the day Alexis claimed she'd miscarried my non-existent child. Found that little gem in her locked jewelry box behind the divorce papers she drafted in '09. Derek rose from the hot tub like a Bond villain with a dad bod, champagne flute still in hand. Alexis's shriek echoed off the cedar beams as I tossed her burner phone into the bubbling jets. Funny, I said, peeling off work gloves crusted with thermite residue. Your solo hike looks suspiciously like a timeshare pitch. He lunged first, predictable for a guy who listed mixed martial arts watching as a hobby on Match.com. My torque wrench met his kneecap with the satisfying crunch of a CV joint giving out. Alexis scrambled for the safe, forgetting I'd swapped its contents with a nest of angry hornets and a Bluetooth speaker blasting NWA. She's playing us both. Derek spat through bloodied lips, clutching the opal necklace now tangled around his neck like a noose. Stole $300,000 from my Cayman account last month. I paused mid-swing, the wrench hovering over his Rolex. The numbers clicked, same amount Alexis had invested in Clara's vegan leather scam. The same month, she'd suddenly developed a passion for offshore fishing. Derek seized the opening. Check her GoPro case. Passwords our anniversary. Alexis froze, mascara bleeding down cheeks that had never seen a hiking trail. The safe's hornets swarmed as I input June 19th, 85. The video loaded, security footage of Alexis copying Derek's offshore account info while he snored in a Xanax haze. You're both con artists, Derek wheezed, pressing an ice bucket to his swelling eye. But I'll cut a deal. Testify against her, and I'll only sue you for the thermite damage. The room tilted. Alexis's sobs merged with the hornet's drone, the opal's gleam reflecting in both our eyes. I'd prepared for blood, for rage, for the sweet catharsis of shattered bones, not for the hollow clang of 2 betrayals colliding. Derek's phone buzzed with an alert, Clara's signed confession hitting his cloud drive. He grinned through cracked teeth. Tick-tock, mechanic. Cops or cash. I pocketed the GoPro, leaving the wrench embedded in his drywall. Let the hornets pick his empire clean. Alexis reached for me as I passed, her wedding band catching the moonlight. I let her fingertips graze my jacket before stepping into the cold. The cabin's porch light died as I reached the tree line. Behind me, 2 liars scrambled to outrun the hive. Ahead, only the growl of my Silverado and the acidic taste of a victory that wouldn't start. The confession trended at number 3 between a TikTok sea shanty and cat memes. I'd leaked it through burner accounts tied to Derek's PR firm, Poetic Fucking Justice. Alexis found me drunk in our pitch-black living room, the security cameras disguised as bourbon bottles capturing every frame. Larry, please. She collapsed in fake tears, her hiking boots still reeking of Derek's cedar-scented sauna. He manipulated me, threatened Clara. I slurred my words, clicking the stereo remote that actually triggered the projector. Their cabin audio boomed through hidden speakers. Alexis's voice, crisp as a gunshot. Once the insurance pays, we'll stage his suicide. Grieving widow sells the shop, moves to Belize. She lunged for the breaker box. I let her plunge us into darkness, knowing the night vision cams were rolling. It's not what you think. Her silhouette fumbled with something metallic, my missing Smith & Wesson, lifted from the safe during her farewell tour. I remained slumped, palming the trackers I'd sewn into her luggage lining. Funny, you kept the receipts. The gun cocked. You left me no choice. Red laser dots bloomed on her chest as I activated the panic room's motion sensors. Neither did you. Her scream merged with the blaring alarm. The gun clattered as she covered her ears, right onto the pressure plate I'd installed under the rug. Floorboards snapped open, swallowing the weapon into a locked compartment lined with soundproofing and Derek's fingerprints. I rose, sober as a judge, flipping the lights to reveal the livestream setup broadcasting to 87K Reddit true crime junkies. Self-defense. I nodded at the frozen chat. They'll need a new term for this. She scrambled for the door, yanking the handle I'd superglued shut during her heartfelt monologue. Let me explain. I unmuted Derek's incoming FaceTime, his swollen face filling the screen. Explain to him. And the SEC. And the nice officers, sirens wailed on cue. Parked outside with your extradition papers. Her fist shattered the projector, but the damage was done. The opal necklace glinted in the strobe lights as she collapsed, a trapped animal finally chewing its leg off. I sipped coolant-colored water, the chat's verdict scrolling like a stock ticker of schadenfreude. Revenge isn't served cold. It's served live-streamed. The cops arrived with the subtlety of a dragnet finale, 2 cruisers, 1 unmarked Crown Vic, and a forensic accountant clutching a spreadsheet like Holy Writ. Alexis thrashed in cuffs, her opal necklace snapping off to roll beneath the fridge where mice would later drag it into a nest of shredded Derek LLC contracts. Conspiracy to commit insurance fraud, the lead detective recited, nodding at my surrendered gun now bagged as evidence. Embezzlement. Attempted solicitation of, he squinted at the paperwork. Is that a rattlesnake? I shrugged, watching the accountant pore over my forged wire transfers. Hobby farm. Alexis lunged, spit stringing between her veneers. You scheming bastard. That money was mine. Correction. I tossed her a Ziploc of her own burner phones, each text thread glowing like radioactive evidence. Yours, Derek's, Clara's, all funneled into a Belizean shell company, which I dissolved this morning. Her scream could have shattered torque specs. You're just like me. The room stilled. Even the forensic guy paused mid-tally. I knelt, retrieving the opal from its greasy grave. Difference is, I read the fine print. The gem split open in my palm, hollowed out years ago to hold the master key to Derek's safe, and replace the explosives. As they hauled her out, she kicked over the vintage Jiffy Lube sign I'd hung to mask the security cam hub. The red light blinked, livestream still rolling, chat flooding with popcorn emojis. Derek's escape made page 6, private jet to Buenos Aires, engine failure over the Amazon. The black box transcript I'd anonymously leaked told the real story. Mayday calls interrupted by a loop of Alexis's cabin confession. Alone in the paid-off house, I poured 2 fingers of antifreeze-colored bourbon. The necklace's empty cavity gleamed, now housing a micro-USB of every lie, every betrayal, every forged document. Insurance against future storms. Her mugshot grin haunted the local news, same smile she'd flashed buying the necklace, the Escalade, our future. I toasted her reflection in the garage window, the Silverado's engine purring like a satisfied predator. Victory, I realized, tastes like synthetic oil and stolen champagne. And the aftertaste? Well, let's just say I'm sticking to bourbon. The house hummed with the silence of a well-oiled engine. No clatter of Alexis's stilettos on hardwood, no passive-aggressive clinking of her crystal stress relief wine glasses. Just the ticking of the garage sale grandfather clock I'd kept solely because its pendulum reminded me of a timing belt. The necklace lay coiled on the kitchen island like a spent serpent, its opal eye catching moonlight through the bulletproof windows I'd installed last week. I poured Knob Creek into a mug labeled World's Okayest Mechanic, watching the bourbon dissolve the last specks of Derek's DNA from under my fingernails. The donation bin outside St. Vincent, Delaware Paul's had eaten well tonight. Alexis's designer purses, Derek's monogrammed cufflinks, Clara's collection of self-help books on ethical wealth building. But this required ceremony. The security monitor blinked with feeds from 6 continents. Brazil, Zurich, that shitty motel outside Phoenix where Clara had been squatting since her bail hearing. I toasted each screen before palming the necklace, its chain slithering through my fingers like liquid mercury. Vintage junk, I muttered, echoing Alexis's lie as I dangled it over the shredder. But the joke curdled when the opal's underside caught the light. DMH plus arc still etched there in Derek's shaky engraving. The shredder whirred to life. I dropped everything except the clasp. Let the next sucker piece together their tragedy. My phone buzzed as I keyed the new biometric safe, thumbprint, and a drop of synthetic motor oil. Clara's burner number lit up the darkened kitchen. Unknown, we're not done. I sipped the bourbon, now flavored with the iron tang of Derek's safe-cracking thermite. On the monitor, Clara's motel doors swung open, a figure in a hoodie slipping inside. Too tall to be her. Too broad in the shoulders. The security system pinged, motion detected at the perimeter. Not cops. Not reporters. Something with the practiced silence of a torque wrench slicing brake lines. I set the mug down precisely where Alexis's mother's ashes would have gone if she hadn't willed herself to Boca Raton out of spite. The necklace's clasp became a makeshift lockpick in my pocket. Let them come. The monitors flickered once. Twice. Then died as the backup generators kicked in, bathing the room in blood-red emergency light. Somewhere in the walls, the Hornet drones I'd repurposed from Derek's cabin buzzed to life. I texted Clara's burner a single photo, the shredded remains of her confession swirling in a Belizean landfill. Then I powered off the phone, snapped the SIM card, and dropped both into the tumbler of bourbon. The grandfather clock struck midnight. Somewhere, a garage door opener whined to life. Let's see who's paranoid now.